All right, and we are live. Good morning, real closers. Good morning. All right, so welcome back again to another Wednesday, Coffee for Closers. This is where we talk about Facebook leads, top of funnel leads, conversations, conversion. How can we get more business from top of funnel leads, right?
Yes.
And today we have a very nice question, right? And we've talked about this before, and basically every Wednesday we come back and talk about this, right? So the question is, can you close deals from Facebook?
Yes,
Um,
you can.
exactly, and the short answer is yes, right? So we're going to go into the long answer, but before we do that, Marcus, why don't we invite people to comment?
Yes,
If
please
you
do. I mean, and listen, if you are or have an experience with street text, or maybe you're part of the street text insider community, there's this post right now, and this is why we're having this conversation. You know,
Yeah, and,
and
and even if you're not, if you've done, Facebook leads from a, from a different source and you've gotten results, what kind of results? And if you haven't gotten
exactly.
results, let's find
Tell us
out
about
why.
it. We want to learn. We want to learn from you because sharing is caring, and ultimately we want to know how much you're spending on Facebook and Instagram. Right? It is the top of funnel. The top of funnel is, you got to remember, is it's digital door knocking. It's interruption based marketing. It's not someone scrolling down their feed today looking to buy or sell anything, and really they're just mindlessly scrolling. In a split second an image catches their attention. The image itself is organic, it's native to their area. They look at the text and make sense, whether it's a home value, whether it's a list of properties, you name it. It's just something, ooh, that's interesting, I'll click on it. Now, what they receive at that moment has everything to do with your integrity. Like you see the sign on the background, it's your integrity. You should be presenting and giving them the value that they thought that they were going to get. But the impression you make with that, the way you serve, the way you bring value, the way you educate, the way you come from contribution, the way you position yourself in humility, that only comes from an opportunity to connect with you and meet you, which is why we have pressed for a long time the power of utilizing video in such a way where they get to see the authentic you. And people don't understand this, but no one's looking to be sold. They're looking maybe not even to have a conversation in the beginning. And so what you're doing is you're going to serve, you're going to bring value, you're going to give them exactly what they were asking for, and then your entire smart plan, your entire follow-up, your entire nurture, the way you handle this database is going to have everything to do with your success. And so, I posted something on our group today, and I accidentally pressed a button that said tag all, and literally tagged, probably close to 5,000 people. And naturally, guess what comes out? The negativity. Because we were asking how much are you spending on your ads and how many deals have you closed. Now, listen, we all know, I know, that this industry is unique in itself, that 9 out of 10 just don't make it. So there's naturally inside of this people that they're just never going to be successful, not at least in this style of follow-up, because it does take work. It's unlike this transactional focus that maybe they're used to in traditional lead gen, even the bottom of the funnel, Zillow, Google SEO, things of that nature where people are actively looking. And sometimes they're used to getting that type of lead, and they'll pay a lot for it because it's already scrubbed, it's already ready, it's ready to go. This type of lead generation has nothing to do with that. This is why it's the lowest cost lead out there. Because what you're doing is you're literally getting someone to click, and the value you're serving with has everything to do with, will that continue? What are your systems like? What's your follow-up like? How are you creating this authentic connection that creates a conversation? We had Gustavo from Power ISA over the other day, and it was so interesting on the follow-up question that I write, and you probably remember, as he's given a lot of presentations in your community, he said, what about the question of what would you change about your home that you're in right now? Right? It's questions like that create conversation. It's not the question of, tell me about the updates and renovations and anything that I should know of in your house. Like, that's important, yes, because you're trying to give value. I'm just talking about seller leads right now. But it's the questions that create an emotional response. something that we all have to pause and redefine the way we follow up is like, we're not looking for objective answers all the time. People are looking for someone they can really know and like and then trust, and that already really are there to serve them and educate them, to bring value to them, and really have their best interests in mind. And if that impression doesn't come across, defense mechanisms are naturally up, and they have been up for a long time, especially as social media advances and solicitation and all these companies out there trying to get their business. We're all guarded, whether we know it or not. So the first impression that someone makes towards us, we're immediately going to say, is this person trying to sell me? Because if they are, I'm gone. You know, how many calls do we get a day? How many email spams do we get a day? Right? They're naturally going to be, their mechanisms are up. So your first impression means everything, and then your continued impression means everything. Meaning, what are you doing on your follow-up that's reinforcing that impression of you serving and not selling? That's reinforcing your command of the and understanding of the market that they're in. Everybody knows inevitably right now we're in a market that's shifting and changing, and all they're hearing about is interest rates rising, inventory low, you know, inflation, scarcity, blah blah blah, fear, mainstream media news, da 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 da. They're like, the world is ending. So how are you different and unique, so that when they're actually getting and receiving information, that you're there to actually present a realistic and bring peace amidst all the chaos, and show you actually this is what you can do right now. And actually, you know what, seller, this actually probably isn't the best time to position your home in the market. Or you know what, buyer, if you're going to, let me show you a few things that you want to consider before you actually decide to purchase. Are you really there to give them the best customer journey, or are you just transactional focused, looking for the next deal? Because people, whether we know it or not, intuitively can smell BS all day.
Yeah, and I think that if your mindset, right, is about, hey, I want to close deals this month, and you go with that mindset, you're gonna kill the first conversation, right? They're gonna put up a wall. And now the thing is, when you're bringing in leads, and this is true for any source, right? And we've tried different, right? We've tried Facebook, we've tried Google, we've tried um, everything, and then and different portal sources, and it's the same thing. Not every lead that comes in through a portal or some sort of source is going to turn out to be a great conversation, and it all depends on how you attack that conversation, how you start that conversation. Like you said, if you go at it from the point of view that, hey, I'm going to close this person on the first call, right? Because I have to close this person on the first call, as opposed to identifying the motive, you know, the reason for them clicking on the ad. You know, if it's a home value ad, it's like, all right, you know, most of the people are like, oh, I just want the value, that's it, right? I don't want to sell my house, I just want to know the value. Now, we know that the reason why they're clicking on a home value ad is because they're thinking, right, that about the possibility of selling. But the thing is, if you go at it from the first conversation, is like, let's set up a listing
But
appointment.
are they? Are they really? Maybe they're not. I mean, we got to assume
Exactly.
that everybody is just literally curious. Do they really just, you know, could it be that they just want to know the equity of their home? Could it be that they just want to know, you know, this ex-neighbor sold their house down the street for this much, and they're like, I just want to know what my home is worth right now, like, because it's a competitive thing? Or you never know why they're really looking to seek the value of their home.
And it's your job to find out, right? I
And it's
mean,
your job to find out, right? But
and if they're asking on an ad, most likely they don't have a realtor. So if they're looking at possibly selling in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 4 years, this is your chance at building that relationship.
and it's not about even like, are they selling and when are they selling? It's about, how can I serve them? How can I educate them? How can I bring value to them, and just help them make great decisions for their family, right? Because we don't know. Just like we talk about all these ads that are buyers, right? As the market's shifting and changing, the downsizing ad right now is like a seller ad in disguise, and buyers are like, no one wants buyers. They all want sellers. Well, don't you know that no matter what market we're in and shifting into, if someone is looking to buy, most likely they have an asset to sell,
Exactly.
right? And you're just not asking the right questions. right? Because you're so focused on getting that next listing. So I think it all really, like, we all have to do gut checks and start figuring out, like, if we're going to do Facebook leads, what's our motivation? Are we really wanting to build this service, and are we willing to invest the time? Because if you're going to try to do this as a standalone, most likely you're going to fail. But if you're going to rely on a community and collaborate with that community, and then look to the people that are actually successful, instead of focusing on the negativity and the people that are not successful and not doing the deals and wasting a bunch of money and just being resentful, are you going to focus and hang around the people that are successful? Because if they made it, what did they do? Because success leaves clues. Where's their mindset at? How long have they been there? What systems are using? What are their integrations like? What are their follow-up like? Show me your examples. Show me the video. Show me your mailers. Show me your retargeting. Show me your use of BombBomb, your use of HomeBot, your use of the CRM follow-up boss or Chime or you name it. Like, show me. Because if you're telling me you made the phone call, you texted them, you emailed them, and you got ghosted and crickets, okay, that means nothing to me. You followed up with
What else
them.
did you
That
do, right? What else
that
did you
that
do to?
how many touch points do we know that it takes with a lead these days? Used to be 12 before they even start the conversation. Now we're learning it's becoming in the 20s, 30s, 40s. So some people are just saying, you know what? I thought I was going to get results in this first few touches. Well, what was your follow up like in the beginning? What did it look like? What did it feel like? What was that experience like? Are you getting feedback from other people? Are you sharing that automation, that response with other people so you can get feedback? And not just the people that love you, but the people that'll give you constructive feedback and say, you know what, Marcus, Roberto, if I got this ad and this is what you gave me, it would be underwhelming. I'd be pretty mad and ticked off. I would probably unsubscribe. There's your feedback. You need to change it up, right? Oh, you know what? This is like, because you see many of our agents who have been successful, they are constantly adapting and changing and shifting as the market's shifting and trying new things, and they're attending these masterminds because they like to learn from people. They have a sense of humility with them all the time. They never think they've arrived or made it. As soon as you think you've arrived and made it, you're never going to learn. But if you're constantly with people and collaborating with people and learning from people, and because every market shifts, every market's different from state to state. You can't put the same ad spend in, Los Angeles or Beverly Hills as you would compare to New Orleans or, you name it. Like, it's apples and oranges. Markets are different. The way people respond to markets are different. But this idea of success is just, I think it needs to be more modeled around, show me how you serve this person. Show me what your communication looks like. Show me how you're continuing to reinforce that communication in your smart plans, in the way you're personally following up, in the way if you are using ISAs or VAs, in the way that they're following up. There's so much more to that tip of the iceberg. It's not, leads are the easy part on social media. What's the hard part? It's the follow-up. Everybody wants this easy magic formula. You know what the formula is service, and it's tenacity, and it's humility, and it's just this constant, like, I think, ability to look at the man in the mirror and say, are you willing to change your ways? Because if you're not looking to look at yourself and take personal responsibility for why your follow-up is not working, something's got to shift, something's got to change. Because as soon as you're pointing all these other fingers, where are those fingers pointing back to? Yourself, right? If I point at you, how many fingers are pointing back at me?
It's funny.
Your fault, Marcus. It's your leads.
I used to work at this place, and there used to be a big old sign, right, that said, "Hey, this is the person responsible for your own mistakes," and all it was a mirror.
It's funny,
And
man. You know what I mean? It's like, in this day and age more than ever, it's not in the real estate industry. We're seeing this everywhere, right? It's like,
yeah, and you know what? One of the things that we talked about earlier too was that rely on people who this is working for,
yeah,
right? If it's not working for you, be open-minded to accept that you may be doing it wrong, you know or you may be doing things right and it's just your market, just the market. People are coming in, they don't really want to do anything with you. And then at that point, because ads don't work, month 1 and 2, they could work months 3 and 4, but then you can also have months where it doesn't work. So consistency is key. And the way I like to look at, top of funnel lead advertising is a way to build your database, right? Bring in people into your database, talk to them. Even if, and I've seen this many times where people come into your database, and the people you get business from, sometimes it's not even the leads that went in. It's just that you provided so much value to the leads that now they start talking to their friends. Now they start talking to, to other people. I'm doing calls myself, right? For my lending business. When they say, oh, I can't, I really don't qualify. I already talked to a lender, I already talked to a bank. They told me that I don't have money, or I was hoping to get some money. I'm like, oh no, absolutely. I'm here to help. If there's anything I can do to help, if you don't mind, I'll follow up with you in the next 2 months. Just doesn't hurt to have a second opinion. And we'll see where it goes. And if you know anyone who may benefit, from talking to someone like me, hey, feel free to send them my way. And even that little conversation, people are like, oh wow, you're looking to really help. Yeah, sure. And
Yeah.
then you just follow up, and you start getting referrals.
Roberto, you're spot on. In this business, like the biggest takeaway that I've seen as far as the dividing line in the sand between success and not is really someone's mindset.
Yep.
And that, like, it's heavy. Like, you gotta be mentally strong and tough, and resilient and just tenacious, and just having the humility to saying, you know what, it's not working for me, so let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to the community. Let's go back to the people that are successful and learn. Because there's so many different ways to create success, and there's so many pick your adventures. But you got to look and study those successful, and you got to resonate with the people, because not everyone's different. Everyone's different on the disc personality.
Yep.
The way I follow up with somebody is going to be completely different than someone who's more analytical, right? I'm a high DI. I'm a driver. I'm somebody who's willing to pick up the phone, and I naturally have a way of building rapport and connecting, and even if it's about football first, right, or the Raiders, or I like to find something that we can bond with. I used to, when I was working sales on the sales side, I used to look at this person on Facebook, send them a friend request, send them a video message, send them a video email, because what I wanted to show that I'm a human looking to connect with you first before I'm looking to try to sell anything. And I'm never going to sell it. I'm going to just show you what's possible. You're going to sell yourself on it. I'm going to paint a vision for what's possible. But at the end of the day, you got to look inside and say, am I willing to do what is necessary to become successful?
Right.
And so everybody can be successful on Facebook, but very few will. Just like everybody can be a successful realtor, but very few will. Right? What is it? Only 3% of the agents back in the day, I was learning this from Tom Ferry, do 2 or more deals a month. So, why is that?
Yeah, I was
Because in
talking
the markets
to
like this is where the true success is defined. People get innovative, get outside the box, and start thinking about how to serve even more and bring value. They don't get stuck on CNN and Fox News. They don't get stuck there, right? And believe everything that any Joe Blow says about being the expert in the economy. Right? So, anyways, it was a good conversation to have, because I think it's important to like look at ourselves in the mirror and say, who do we want to be, and what are we willing to do to get there, and who are we look like. Show me the top 5 people you surround yourself with, because that'll show me how successful you are.
exactly.
And no excuse for proximity, because nowadays the online world connects us all. So you can connect with somebody who's successful, and you living in California and they live in Canada or across the world, because you can just be with them on Zoom.
Exactly. Things are different now. Stick to what's working, put in the work, and just hey, leverage people around you. That's one of the biggest
It's a
assets right now.
passionate discussion, right? It's a passionate conversation, but that's what we're looking for, is people that are passionate. You
Exactly.
got to be passionate to be making it in this industry.
All right, man. I know you gotta go. So thanks again for stopping by. Again, we're gonna be back next Wednesday. If you have comments, again, drop them in the comment box. questions, drop them in there. If you are running Facebook but it's not working for you, hey, let's troubleshoot, right? Let's
Yes.
let's figure out why it's not
Look
working.
at your ads, but most importantly, let's look at your follow-up.
Exactly. Lead gen has become so easy, but that's another conversation. All right, man.
All right. Talk
We'll
soon,
talk
guys.
later. Have a good
Cheers.
one.